Okay, so I'm sitting at dinner with a friend of mine and mentor at the time, Marianne Williamson. And I asked her, Marianne, how is it that you do what you do when you get out there on stage? Because in my opinion, Marianne's one of the greatest orators ever to walk the planet. Nobody can move a room the way Marianne moves a room. So she said to me, well, first of all, I'm strictly obedient to God, which I didn't really know what that meant, but it sounded really powerful and I believed it was true. And then she said, and secondly, I always turn myself over to Source or to Holy Spirit before I get on the stage. I always ask Holy Spirit to guide me. She goes, and then what immediately follows is I feel like I'm being surrounded by angels and lifted up on the stage. She said it's not I'm not channeling, it's a co-creation. I'm joining together with Holy Spirit and speaking from my heart. So about a week later, I was asked to stand in Marianne's place and speak at this very big event that happens at the church that we both worked at the time every year, where all the spiritual teachers from the Detroit metro area gather together and spend a few hours and speak and share about their religion and relate to each other. So I said yes. I was scared to death, didn't know what I was going to speak about. The day comes I was supposed to speak, and it's literally 3 days after 9/11 in 2001. And so I'm standing there getting ready to go up. I didn't know what I was going to say, and I remember what Marianne said to me at dinner, and so I said, God, please, guide me. I'm strictly obedient to you. Please show me what I need to speak about tonight. And just as I said that to myself, one of the other head ministers came up to me and said, Mark, do you know what you're going to speak about? And I said, no, I really don't. And he was like a deer caught in the headlights. He was like, okay, don't panic, as he was panicking. And he said, what I want you to speak about is what you spoke to this morning in our small group of ministers. I said, okay, I can do that. I know about this. So I went up to go speak, and just as I was moving towards the stage, I felt what felt like this warm arms coming around me, and like I was being surrounded by angels, and literally felt lifted up on the stage, just as Marianne had described. They were probably Marianne's angels. So I get to the stage and I start speaking, and everything was flowing, and just then I noticed in the audience a man who I'd just seen on TV several hours prior to me coming to the event. And he was an imam speaking about how his mosque had just been vandalized, because at that time people were really upset and they were blaming all Muslims for what happened to the towers in New York. And I remember feeling for him and wanting to drive over there and support him somehow, but I had to go to this event. And now here he was sitting right in front of me. So I got to speak to him from the stage, and I said, hey, I saw you on TV tonight. I asked him to stand and introduce himself, and he did. And I said, look, I love you like a brother, and I support you. And he turned to me and he said, I love you too, my brother. And then he turned to the whole audience and said the same thing, and the audience stood up and supported him. So it was a beautiful moment I got to have. We all got to have a healing moment. And then I said the final thing before I got off the stage. I said, we're all wondering what hit the towers. Like, what happened? And then the thought occurred to me that what hit the towers was every thought, every word, every deed of, attack and hatred that has ever been expressed on the planet. That's what hit the towers. And the solution isn't more attack, isn't more prejudice, isn't more upset. The solution is forgiveness and love. And just then the imam came up on the stage and shook my hand and embraced me. And we turned to the audience and we took a bow together. And everybody was crying and there were tears in the audience. And it was just a genuinely beautiful healing moment.